Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, Pierre Gasly have been disqualified from the Chinese Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton was disqualified for the plank wear on his car, while Pierre Gasly and Charles Leclerc were disqualified because of underweight. This is the worst starting for Ferrari. Hello guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening for wherever you're watching all around the world. Chinese Grand Prix is come and gone. What a win for McLaren, a 1-2 for McLaren. Great result for them, double points and maximum points for them. Also great racing for Red Bull, Max Verstappen. Great strategy for them. Great race for George Russell, good strategy. Ferrari at it again. They started very well, bad strategy. Good points, double finish for us, maximum wonderful points for them. Alex Albon, happy birthday, great points, and it all went so smooth, but not so much an interesting race. The rear battles were there, but the top battles, not there at all. It was just straight figure race for those at the front, except for strategy, placing some ahead of others. From the undercut, strategy helped some few teams. But close at the rears, we had great battles, and why do we have great battles? Bad strategy from the Racing Bulls. Had the opportunity to be in point, but dragged themselves to the back. Now they are competing with those that were behind, and they were trying to make up the points. Unfortunately, they were unable to make up good points. But how did the race pan out? The two McLaren started very, very well. They were able to move ahead of George Russell, and from there, they were able to control the race. And controlling the race, Piastri, that young man, is having great mind and wonderful control in his head. He was able to control the race from the beginning down to the end of the race. No mistake, unlike Lando that would have lost focus, but Piastri was just there through the race. Great kudos to him. Lando Norris did a brilliant race. About 10 laps towards the end of the race, he started having brake issues. The brake was longer and he was losing pressure, but he was able to take the car home in P2. George Russell also did some good running. From the beginning of the race, they were able to push George Russell to the third position, and from there, they went ahead. Also, Ferrari were able to sandwich Max Verstappen, put him back behind them. Max Verstappen started ahead of the two Ferraris, but the two Ferraris, especially Lewis Hamilton, was able to gain a good position, put him behind. His teammate hit him, lost his own front wings, and Lewis Hamilton from there was managing the pace, trying to keep it up with those ahead. And managing the pace, I think that is where Ferrari got it wrong. They should have allowed the two drivers to be right behind each other, manage the pace for some great laps, so that by the time they are changing the tires, they will be on good rubbers and they will be able to run to the end of the race. But no, Charles Leclerc felt too greedy, and the strategy really hurt them. How did the strategy hurt them? Lewis Hamilton was still leading Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc he can be ahead, but two things were happening. Lewis Hamilton was trying to manage the pace so that they can keep the tires till the end, but unfortunately, he's also struggling with the car. That did not really help him because he was only losing on turn 13, and that was the only place he was losing time. He needs to know everything on the steering so as to control the car, and I think that is one thing Lewis Hamilton is still struggling with. Charles Leclerc already knows his car. He knows the steering, he knows everything, so it was easier for him. Lewis Hamilton, right behind him, had nothing to lose. They had to change his tire. He could not pick up the pace back to Max Verstappen. Why? The Red Bull on low fuel have good pace. It happened last week. They almost got Lando Norris in second position. Max Verstappen could have won the race in Australia. The Red Bull on low fuel manages tire better, and they have decent pace on any weather. He was able to chase down Charles Leclerc and overtook Charles Leclerc. If the two Ferraris were close together, they might be able to concede one position, not the two positions, because they will give themselves DRS, which will hurt Max Verstappen's tire and hurt Max Verstappen's pace. But lack of strategy and not thinking about the future of the race really affected the Ferrari. To Ocon, great race from us. At least us did a beautiful race this weekend. Their first race in Australia, they were nowhere. They had one of the worst races, but coming into China, they had a decent race, decent pace. They had good strategy, necked on. They brought the car home wonderfully well. Stroll, beautiful race for Stroll. He was able to fight through. Lance Stroll had been fighting since the beginning of the season, and it seems the new face of the team, the way the team is structured, is really helping Lance Stroll. He has been fighting, and he looks very, very hungry for the race. His teammate Fernando Alonso, 2 DNFs back-to-back in 2 races. Brakes were on fire and he had to pit, and it was the only DNF in the race. Sauber, after the first race of the season, they looked very good, but Sauber coming into this race became a nightmare. Where are they starting from again this season? Sauber needs to get their priorities right. They are not getting it right. Racing Bulls had opportunity of decent points, but came back into the race. Bad strategy, bad management, and they ended behind. They were struggling with points. Jack Doohan, more penalties for him. He got penalties yesterday in the sprint. Another 10 seconds penalty, which might also affect his license. Like yesterday's race, he's having 2 points on his license. He might have another 2 points on this license again, which is not looking good for him. But he was able to fight through, stayed strong. Pierre Gasly, wonderful racing. The Alpine has a lot of work to do, but Pierre Gasly really did a good job for them. 2 pit stop, 1 pit stop. Who does a favor? I think 1 pit stop made a whole lot of sense, because after the graining clears, the tires become better, and they become better, not just better, they become much more better, and that benefited those ahead. I mean, Lando Norris, Piastri, Max Verstappen, and George Russell. It also benefited Charles Leclerc, but to those that did 2 stops, they were nowhere. It didn't benefit them. But I think coming to Japan in 2 weeks' time, it will be another early morning race. I think Ferrari would have learned a lot. They have good tire management, in which I saw it yesterday, but I didn't see it in this race. The McLaren still looks like the benchmark, but they have a lot of work to do. Mercedes have a lot of work to do. The Max's car, that is the Max Verstappen's car, I believe, is a car that has all the potentials, but that car is only made for Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen brought it home coolly. He understands the car better. He knows the car. He knows how to make the car perform. Kudos to him. And up until Japan, for more race analysis and how the race will pan out, please subscribe, like, share, and also stay constant on our channel as we bring more technical analysis on what happened in the race, shots that are so informative, and what you need to know concerning the Japanese race and also the races that have gone behind. I love you guys. Bye. Cheers.